All right, guys, so what we're gonna do next is a 20-minute kind of gymnastics session. We're gonna focus a little bit on hips and some of our gymnastics positions that are foundational to more advanced movement. Like Blake and I were talking about in one of our previous videos, right now while you're at home, you don't need to be lifting a lot of heavy weights to see progress when you get back into the gym. In fact, a lot of you should probably be working more on these regressed fundamental movements so that you can stack upon that when you get back in the gym and correct maybe some of those mistakes in your movement or technique, or even just your strength. You know, a lot of people, we cover up weakness with big strength, meaning like a big deadlift, a big back squat, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're strong. You can also have weaknesses in some other areas that you can't target as well unless you do these kind of fundamental gymnastics exercises. So we're gonna start off with some hip cars, controlled articular rotations, and we're gonna do a few on each side. So I'm gonna get into an all fours position. I'll kind of do a couple different angles so you can get an idea of how this is gonna look. But essentially I'm just gonna do consistent movement in and out for about a minute on each side. So here we go. So I'm bringing the knee up, opening up as much as possible, coming back through and around. Now you can do concentric circles the entire way, or you can rotate back and switch. The thing that I'm trying to prevent is a lot of movement in my low back. So what I don't want to do is when I'm coming up, I don't want to rotate and move. I'm trying to keep my hips pointed down the entire time, so all movement is coming from the actual hip. And for a lot of you, you might notice that you don't have as much open range of motion as you think. And you also might notice that your butt is getting quite a workout by doing this. So after about a minute, we will switch sides, which I think we're coming up on it. So I'll switch angles so you can kind of see. And my left hip is definitely a lot tighter. We're coming up on 30 seconds, guys. Ten seconds left. 3, 2, 1. So kind of rest for a little bit, but then we're gonna switch and do another on the right and the left. Okay, so we'll do 2 on each side. And we'll start at 2, 1, go. And on the second round, think about trying to squeeze, focus, and elevate on increasing that range of motion. How big of a circle can you create with your knee? Thinking about drawing a circle. If you had a marker taped to your knee, how big of a circle can I draw around? So we got about 20 seconds left. And 3, 2, 1. Ooh. This is a little bit of an upper body workout too, as you put all your weight in your forearms. All right, let's do left side. We'll start now. And it's good to kind of video yourself doing these sometimes so you can identify asymmetries left and right. Not everyone can really feel the difference when they start off doing this, so like I can kind of feel that my left hip's tighter, that I don't feel like I'm getting it as high as I was able to get my right, but a little video evidence will help. About 15 seconds left. And 5, 2, 1. All right, so next on our list, we're gonna be holding a hollow position. If you do this right, this should be extremely difficult. So what I'm gonna be doing is, because I know my common faults when I get into a hollow position, I like to start off by making sure I'm flattening my low back into the mat or the floor, wherever you're doing this at your house. And the way I do that to begin is I just kind of hug my knees a little bit and make sure that I'm rolling through my low back. Once I feel like I'm in a position where I'm pressing down into the floor with my lower lumbar, at that point I crunch and hold and then extend the rest of my body into its hollow position. So I'm gonna roll back. Once I feel like I'm in a good crunch position here, all right, then I'm going to extend out, and then I'm gonna extend out. Now my other common fault is I tend to stick my chin up, so I know to bring my ears back by my biceps. And you'll notice I'm already shaking. And I also didn't check the clock when I started, so we're just gonna assume it's been about 20 seconds. Try to reach through your toes, reach up through your arms. We'll go another 10 seconds, since I'm not sure when I started, but it feels like it's been about a minute. And rest. So we're gonna do this 4 times. Because you're using so much of your core in this, if you feel like you're close to cramping, you can take a little bit of extra time in between your sets here, just to make sure you're getting the maximum out of each round. I'm gonna give myself about 10 more seconds. I know personally I tend to cramp pretty easily in any type of ab flexion movement. I'm sure Blake has some sort of reason behind why that happens to me, but I just know it happens, so we're just gonna try to avoid that so I don't embarrass myself on video. All right, so again, I'm just gonna roll, make sure I've got some tightness here, and then once I get that initial area secure, I'm then just gonna reach through, tucking my neck back to make sure I'm not overly extending the neck. And I notice I'm starting to lose my hollow, so I'm gonna take a moment to correct the position. Once I've corrected the position, I'm gonna go back, hold for a little bit longer. And rest. If you're unable to hold this for the full duration, then one of the things you can do is you can kind of jackknife or slightly tuck at the leg to reduce that forward load. So if you notice you just can't hold that full hollow, then doing a dead bug position or modified position for the hollow hold is a great way to accumulate the amount of volume, the time, without compromising your position. So what a dead bug would look like is I would actually tuck my legs up and bring myself here, and I can hold this position. And I'm gonna just do this because I feel very close to cramping. And I know mentally if I know I'm gonna cramp, I'm gonna start changing things about my hollow position, meaning like going into an arch, right? So if I start to feel myself losing this tuck here and going into an arch, then I'm not actually training the right things. So find a position you can maintain that's correct and try to stay there. And I'm still focusing on maintaining tightness through my core. All right, so I'm gonna rest for a little bit. All right, so we'll do one more set here in a second. If you can't tell, I'm sweating. It's pretty warm in here. All right, so we've got one more set, guys. Rest for a little bit longer. If you feel like you're close to cramping, arch a little bit, stretch out, and then return to that position. So I'm gonna tuck, I'm flattening down into the ground, extending my legs, extending my arms. I'm starting to lose that flexion, so I'm gonna tuck and modify. Hold for about 20 more seconds. And then we're gonna go into an L-sit overhead hold next. So for the L-sit, you can do this in a couple ways to modify. I have pretty tight hamstrings, so if I sit flat on the ground and try to extend, I hit a lot of tightness here. So a good way to modify this is by using a yoga block, or what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fold up this mat and I'm gonna sit on the mat. So I'm creating just a little bit of elevation here to get into a better L-sit position. Now for the overhead hold, you can do a barbell, a dowel rod, this 4-pound slam ball. And what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be holding this for about 45 seconds overhead, okay? So once I get into my L-sit position, I'm gonna place this overhead, and ideally, all right, I don't have the best shoulder flexion. Ideally, you'll be able to stack all of this overhead. I'm gonna do my best, but I'm holding this position here in this L-sit. I lost my timer. I can feel my low back wanting to do this, so I'm just trying to think chest up, belly forward, trying to keep that ideal position here. We'll go for another about 10 seconds. I can feel myself wanting to reach my head through. During these drills, it's really important to kind of constantly take an assessment, self-assessment of what you're feeling in your position. So if you feel yourself straining in your traps, straining in the neck, identify why that might be, make those adjustments to get into a better position. We're gonna rest a little bit. We've got 3 more sets of the L-sit overhead, and then we're gonna go into a front lever drill next, okay? So we'll give ourselves another 3 seconds of rest. I'm gonna get back into my L-sit position. Ball overhead. And the nice thing about having coaches at your gym is so they can give you cues and help you with these positions. So like I was saying, when you're taking kind of like self-diagnostics while you're in this position, while you're kind of thinking, okay, what am I feeling? Where is it burning? Keep track of those things and then let your coach know. Hey, when I do this, my upper back burns or my lower back burns. And then they should be able to help you with a substitution, modification, adjustment to make sure you're getting the most out of these drills. 5 seconds, and rest. So I know for me personally, I feel the ball moving forward. I feel my deltoids really starting to burn. So I know I'm not in the perfect position that I should be in, but I'm trying to be on that cusp, right? I'm trying to fight for that proper position the entire time. So we're gonna rest for a little bit longer. We got 2 more sets. And for a lot of you doing this for the first time, you might notice that this is just as hard, if not harder, than doing, 15 heavy thrusters or doing 21 unbroken deadlifts at 225. It's a different kind of difficulty, but it's just as challenging in its own way. All right, so let's give ourselves 10 seconds so we can start on the top of the minute. And then we'll do another set of 45. 2, 1, go. This is definitely highlighting my overhead mobility problems. As Blake said in our previous video, gymnastics will expose you, will expose your problems, make you very aware of where you're lacking. 10 more seconds. It's definitely a humbling experience for anyone in CrossFit who thought they were strong, thought they were further along in their development than they actually are. So let's rest, let's do 1 more set. I am profusely sweating now. All right, hopefully you guys are having fun so far. We've got 2 more drills after this, and they are going to be very fun for your upper body. And let's do this last set. So try to stay tough. Don't slack on your final set. Still focus on those same key elements of your position. A little more than 10 seconds, guys. And rest. Very good. Okay, so this next drill is a front lever drill. Now, I made tactical error when snowboarding and really messed my wrists up. So I have been rehabbing from that for a while and they're almost 100%. But I think the way that I'm gonna use this as some information for you guys is a lot of times we completely avoid all pain and not all pain is equal. Okay, so there's a difference between injury and just discomfort. And for the wrists and our bones, they're very resilient. Okay, so when I messed my wrists up, I fell from a pretty far distance with all my body weight into the ground. Just having my body weight resting on my wrists is not nearly enough to create damage. So although you may feel discomfort sometimes, it's important to know that there is a threshold with which you're allowed to and should be pushing through some pain in this. Now, if you feel like weakness, so if you press on something and it's so painful that you feel weakness, that's a good indicator that that is an injury that you need to avoid. But for me, I'm just letting you know in my planche position, I'm not still able to reach full range of motion from before, but I'm still going to push through a little bit of discomfort for this. So for the front lever planche position, if you've never done a planche push-up, the idea is that our positioning is going to be behind the shoulders. So when I'm going into a regular push-up, my shoulders are pretty much on top of the hand. In a planche push-up, I'm going to be over, okay, where my arms are more down towards my rib cage. For a lot of people, this is a very difficult levered position. So we're going to start by focusing on a hollow position, meaning I'm not arched in my low back, I'm tucked and crunched in, okay? Once I'm in this position, my goal is to lever my body out over my wrists. This is where you may feel discomfort. There's a couple things you can do. You can cheat a little bit by rotating the wrist out. You'll notice that makes it a little bit easier for me. So play around with your position, find something that you can manage, but still challenge your body, okay? So we're gonna be trying to do this 4 sets of 1 minute. So I'm gonna start in 3 seconds, 2, 1, and I'm going. And about 45 seconds for me was all I could really manage. So I'm gonna just go with 45 seconds for the rest here. If you're able to maintain a full minute, that's awesome. Keep it up. But again, it's all about knowing your limits. When you feel like you've gone far enough and you've really pushed it, and 45 seconds is all you have that day, it's better than not doing this at all. All right, so I'm gonna give myself a little bit of rest. For most like plank work, depending on how strong you are, you might need 1 minute to 2 minutes of rest to make sure you're getting the most out of each set. So I'm gonna wait for another about 15 seconds. And then because we are going a little bit over on time, our last movement, we may scale back the sets. All right, so 2, 1, let's go for 45 seconds. Very good. 20 seconds left. Got a good little shake going. 2, 1, rest. So I want to make sure that we don't go over too much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you guys pause this, do another 2 rounds. I'm going to go into the regressed handstand push-up drill. So for a lot of people, their handstand push-ups, they've skipped some steps. And so they're either using a kip or a wide position. They're using some modification to avoid that weakness to still satisfy a handstand push-up range of motion. So what this allows you to do is regress the handstand push-up, put yourself in an optimal pressing position, and rebuild that strength so that it will translate over into your actual handstand push-up. So the nice thing is you should notice a huge improvement in your strength if you do this properly. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do 5 sets, okay, of 8 reps, and we're gonna do a tempo. So the tempo is gonna be 5 seconds down, pause, explode up, hold, okay? We're gonna do that for 8 reps. So here's what this is gonna look like. I'm gonna go through a couple sets with you guys, and then because of the time element, we'll stop there, and hopefully you guys can continue doing the full work, okay? So here's what it's gonna look like. I'm gonna set myself up in a pike position, a pike push-up rather, position. So I'm in this pike position, my hands are shoulder width apart, okay? So like you're doing a strict press. From here, I'm thinking about creating a triangle. My hands are the bottom 2 points, and my head is creating the top point of the triangle. So as I lever down, I'm gonna try to tap my head, not between my hands, okay, which is gonna create this little ugly position where the elbows go out. Instead, I'm gonna create this position. And you'll notice this looks very similar to a strict barbell press, and it should. So what I'm doing is here, I'm gonna do a 5-second count down, 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000, pause for a second, come up quickly. I'm driving through, head towards the feet, like I'm doing a downward facing dog, and then again, 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000, up. All right, so I'm gonna do this the rest of the way in my head. Just follow along with me. Ooh, elbow pop, very nice. All right, so shake it out. That's probably pretty tough for most of you. Give yourself about a minute of rest in between. Shake it out, rest up. If you're holding the tempo properly, not counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000. If you're counting properly, this should be very, very difficult. You can modify this by doing it on your knees. So you can also pike yourself in this position. I'm pulling my heels up and I'm lowering myself in front and up, okay? So that's another way you can regress this. For those of you that are more advanced, maybe the pike position is too easy for you, you can always elevate your feet on a box to create more of the weight going forward into your hands, okay? I'm gonna rest shortly. I'm gonna do one more set, and then I'll let you guys finish those last few. So again, I'm starting off, hands about shoulder width. I'm picturing on the mat where I wanna place my head, ensuring that it's gonna be out in front of my hands. And then I'm gonna count a 5 count down. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000, and coming back up. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000. And now you can probably see why that planche position is so important, because it trains your body to be able to maintain tension when you're out over the wrists versus between them. And because I'm talking, I lost count. So we're gonna do 2 or 3 more, I think. And I'm starting to really shake. Whew. All right, so if you did all of this through, this will probably be one of the most difficult kind of gymnastics workouts you've done. And hopefully it highlights some of those weak areas that you should be working on. And this is why it's so nice to look at the positive side of being home and having time to work on your stuff, right? We all have areas that are weakness areas that we need to be focusing on. And so now's the time to attack those areas so we can all come back stronger and better, all right? So thanks for joining me today, and look forward to more videos in the future.